We could be flying free, leave our worries below. Safe and sound, no one around. Say the word and we'll go. But baby, we'll fall. We all go dancing down, and paradise is found. We're shaking the ground, 'cause there ain't no
When marketers fail to differentiate their customers,
jack it up.
on my wrist, baby, make a wish. You could sell your Rari, but you can't afford my outfit. Versace on my wrist, baby, make a wish. You could sell your Rari, but you can't afford my outfit. Versace on my wrist, baby, make a wish. You could sell your Rari, but you can't afford my outfit. Versace on my wrist, baby, make a wish. You could sell your Rari, but you can't afford my outfit. Go wish. Go wish. Go wish. Versace on my wrist, baby, make a wish. You could sell your Rari, but you can't afford my outfit. Versace on my wrist, baby, make a wish. You could sell your Rari, but you can't afford my outfit. Versace on my wrist, baby, make a wish. You could sell your Rari, but you can't afford my outfit. Versace on my wrist, baby, make a wish. You could sell your Rari, but you can't afford my outfit. Go wish.
Won't you take me
I can wait another minute. I can wait another second to be with you for an eternity. I feel like I am in a daydream. Every moment that I spend with you, with you.
Won't you take me home and give me wings to fly? We can be alone in the castle in the sky. We can run away and leave this world behind. Please just take me home to a castle in the sky.
We were traveling mountains just to find the loudest tears. We set down by the fire, knowing we couldn't hide, but we didn't know that yet. something to hold on to, gotta find it first. But here I am, 'cause I've been laying under palm trees, waiting for the summer, knowing there's nowhere to go. 'Cause I am happy on this island, wanna be my farmland. I don't ever want to leave.
I wanna take it all in, I'm falling. The cityscape by night, wanna catch in my photos. Where you go, every corner twice as bright. They'll be my treasures forever. When I can't hold you tight, I'll see the Stockholm lights. The Stockholm lights, the Stockholm lights. Tomorrow feels a year away, like the seconds, the beginning and the end. But if in time it's yesterday, your picture's gonna bring it home to me again. The world is waiting up, the world is waiting half a step beyond our door. And if it's not enough, I wanna see the stuff the world has got in store. I wanna take it all in, I'm falling. The cityscape by night, wanna catch in my photos. Where you go, every corner twice as bright. They'll be my treasures forever. When I can't hold you tight, I'll see the Stockholm lights. The Stockholm lights, the Stockholm lights. I'll see the Stockholm lights, the Stockholm lights, the Stockholm lights. The Stockholm lights.
How heavy is that? Light work with the bass on the track, on my face to the back, like I'm taking a slap. I need a drink, but it's straight from the tap. And I'm hating the slack, couple man slide around like the hate in the gaff. Please start talking that trash, cause the vibes in the front all the way to the back.
What is good, fam? Good to be back. How y'all doing? Have a good weekend. It was a pretty fun weekend this past weekend. Trying to think. So, updates. I will be getting a little thing for the background right there, just because background is right now just kind of really plain and stuff. Got my bed, got the white wall, you got the window, which I usually keep closed, unless it's in the middle of the day or something like that. But we need something for the back right there. So stay tuned. You'll see it. Hopefully, I haven't submitted the order yet, but I'm not sure exactly how long it takes. I think maybe a couple weeks. Definitely within the month. So by the end of next month, it should be here. But it's gonna be pretty sick, not gonna lie. Hopefully it's as, we'll just put it like this. Hopefully it's as sick as I think it's gonna be. So we'll see. Gotta crack open my sparkling water. All right, not too many updates or announcements, to be honest. Let's go ahead and hop into it. So tonight's topic, for some reason, I don't know if it's just me or like the camera's not really like focusing that well on my face. All right, I think it should be good. All right, tonight's topic, let's go ahead and roll into it. I have a couple games I need to watch tonight. So, how I finished college with a 40K plus net worth. Now, if you look at the statistics, I actually don't have the statistics up right now in front of me. And if I do, my stream probably just gonna whack out, go crazy, and it's gonna lag and stuff like that. So I'm not gonna do that right now. But majority of people that finish or that go to college in general and that finish college, they have a negative net worth. Now, you might be thinking, all right, logically speaking, that makes sense. Most people that go to college, especially if they didn't get any sort of scholarship, which I actually didn't get necessarily. I got a few scholarships here and there, but not like a full ride or even like a half tuition scholarship. Like some people, you have to take out loans in order to not only pay tuition but to live day to day because you're going to school full time. I'll go over kind of all the consensus, but of like what I specifically did. But majority of students, how it works out is they graduate high school. If you're not in the fortunate situation where your parents will pay for your school either outright or help you a little bit, then you're going to have to take out some student loans if you don't have a scholarship of some sort, and you use those student loans to pay for your tuition as well as your just living expenses, and you're typically going to school full time. Maybe you're working a job here and there. It's not going to really make that much of a difference, especially for most jobs that college kids get. You're making what, like 15, maybe $20 an hour. Even if you were to work full time on that, you'd be making like 35 grand a year, which might cover your tuition, but it's definitely not going to cover tuition plus living expenses throughout the year. So you're going to leave college with a negative net worth, and then you're going to start working, making money, and then you're going to pay off your student debt. And but before you know it, by the time you pay off all that student debt, some people don't honestly even pay off because they don't want to pay it off, or maybe the interest rate works in your favor, then you're probably not going to have a positive net worth until you're like mid 20s. Let's just say ideally you pay it off in the first year or so, first year or two, let's say 2 years. Then you're sitting at a positive net worth when you're typically, most people when they graduate college are like 22, 23. So you're going to be your mid 20s already. Positive net worth. Now I didn't say this is like a dramatic positive net worth. This is just like breaking even, zero. You're above, you're not a negative number. That's the typical student. Now, in my case, it's definitely a lot different. I definitely come from humble beginnings. Growing up, I had a great family, great parents. Couldn't have asked for really better on what they taught me and what they kind of gave me growing up. We weren't poor, we weren't rich, we were just like middle class. Had everything that I needed, a couple things I wanted, I got. Didn't get everything I wanted. Parents split up, things were a little bit tighter with money and stuff. And then I decided to go to college. So I specifically went to BYU. They have a really low tuition. Started off my freshman year, it was like $2,200 per semester, which is a bargain. That's a steal if you're talking any country, any college in the country in the United States. You're probably looking at least, if you're in state, I'm not going to go into the whole like explaining in-state versus out-of-state tuition, but I'd say average tuition price across the board per semester is probably $8,000 to $10,000. We'll just stick it like that. It might be cheaper, it might be more expensive, but let's just say that's the average or the median. So I was like well below what the average slash median is. So started off first semester of school, just full-time school, enjoying my freshman experience, wasn't working at all. I had a few scholarships here or there, probably enough to cover kind of like first semester's tuition, but my parents were nice enough to help me with living conditions and stuff, living situation like dorm and meal prep or meal food and stuff like that, because I was a freshman, just starting off. So I could have a kind of a normal freshman semester one experience. So they helped me out with that. But then the next semester, ended up getting a job. And humble beginnings, like I said, I had to help start paying for stuff just because my scholarship kind of ran out at that point. It covered the first semester, but second semester, not so much. So I'd help out, pay for my own living expenses, for my own tuition a little bit. And I ended up getting a job at the food court on campus. The BYU campus is called the Cougar Eat, if you're familiar with it, if you've been there before. And I worked at specifically two places there. I worked at the Cougar Cafe, which is like the place where people get breakfast sandwiches and bagels and stuff like that, and soup for lunch, and soup and bread bowls and stuff like that. Honestly, pretty good food. But I worked there, and then I also worked at Taco Bell. So I started off literally working at Taco Bell. I was making that time the minimum wage was like $8 or $9 an hour. So I was making that much, literally like didn't really help me with my situation at all. And that was just kind of my humble beginnings. Still going to school full time, was working part time, like 15 to 20-ish hours a week. I'd get lucky if I get 20 hours just because a lot of people work that job just because people wanted to make money. The hot job at that point in time was early morning custodian, because you can make up to, you can just make $8 to $9 an hour. Like my current job, you work normal hours, bear in mind. If you work really early in the morning, like start at 6 and then get done at like 8 or 8:30 for your classes, then you can make a whopping, wait for it, $12 an hour. So you make $4 an hour more. It's just ridiculous thinking about it back then. But yeah, that's kind of the state of conditions during that time when I was a freshman. So that was my first semester. Like I said, didn't work. Parents kind of helped me out with that, but scholarships covered tuition. Next semester, had to start working, and was making like $8, $9 an hour. All right. Then after that, obviously, I go on my mission, and luckily, I'm fortunate that my parents paid for most of it. I paid for a little bit of it because I was working before my like during high school and stuff. I saved up some money, so they used some of my money. I can't remember exactly how much money I had in my name after I came back from my mission, but I want to say it was definitely less than like $2,000. I want to say it was like $500, just because like I had this Bank of America savings account, and I actually still have it today. And it's like the amount was like $500, which is like the minimum you could have, and I still have that. I've actually added a little bit to it, but so I want to say $500, anywhere from 2,000 to $500. But I think it was, I had $500 to my name after my mission, and I kind of like started over, like almost kind of like almost like a freshman again, because you're like 2 years removed from real life and society, and then you come back to college, and you're a new person. You've changed on your mission. Definitely, my financial situation has changed as well. $500 to my name, and during this period of time, Utah is very, I don't know if I want to say like well known / like notorious for this kind of profession or this type of work. Don't worry, it's not illegal. It's not. I'm not starting an OnlyFans, but summer sales. So they're notorious for being the summer sales people, just because. I mean, think about it. Majority of the people that live there are members of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, who typically go on these 2-year missions where they go to foreign countries, possibly learn a foreign language, and they just talk to random people and preach to them about teachings of Jesus Christ. So in a layman's terms, like you're basically like selling religion. Obviously, we're not selling it for anything, but just to kind of put it in context of this financial live that I'm doing tonight, that's kind of what I would compare it to. So you get someone who's done this for 2 years successfully, and they came back and they didn't just like entirely hate their lives. And a lot of people actually enjoyed it because you had this like greater sense of purpose to it. Something you're doing something bigger than yourself, essentially. And then you come back and you're like, hey, why not do this for money instead of doing it for a good positive cause? And it made sense money wise. My cousin did it for a long time, so I was just like naturally like, all right, I trust him a lot more than these other dudes, because getting hit up by tons of people, because that's just what you did. And it's like nowadays you probably can't be a dude in Provo that hasn't done summer sales and or like been approached to like recruited to do summer sales. It's impossible. Like it's literally impossible to go throughout a whole several years living in Provo without being recruited to do summer sales. So I sat down with this guy, Donnie. I love Donnie, even to this day. One of the people I really look up to in life. Sit down, runs through the numbers with me, and I'm like, okay, like, all right. I get to go knock people's doors for 3 to 4 months, And if I'm just average, even if I'm slightly below average, then I can make $20,000 in 3 to 4 months of work. And if I do a normal job and go back to my Taco Bell job, and I'm making like $8 to $9 an hour, and I work that full time 40 hours a week, which knocking doors, you'd be working a little bit longer than that, probably like 50 hours a week. But if I did my Taco Bell job, I'd be making for 3 to 4 months of work full time, 40 hours a week. And that's if I can get 40 hours a week. I'm making like $8,000. Obviously, it was very logical to go with the summer sales job just because it's just like you make $15,000 to $20,000 if you're below average versus you're guaranteed to only make at least $8,000 staying here working at Taco Bell. I was like, well, I'm a logical dude. Numbers make sense. I'll go with the bigger number. And that's exactly what happened, actually. And people, I'll actually probably do a separate live on just like debunking all the summer sales stuff, just because a lot of people have very negative experiences, but then there are a lot of people, including myself, that has had very positive experiences with summer sales. So that's going to be a separate video for a separate time. But essentially, my first summer, I went to Austin, Texas, which is actually where I'm here now. So I kind of came full circle. I'm back here. I went out my first summer. I did like, at that time we focused on sales and services rather than revenue. They talk about revenue right now. That's their main thing they go off of. But I serviced around like 112 accounts or something like that, and I ended up making like 18 grand. So not bad for a 21-year-old kid that had $500 to his name at the beginning of the year. So go and do that 2 more summers actually. So this, like I said, the first summer I went to Austin, made around $18,000, and then that second summer, we went to a couple places because it was COVID during that time, so it was a bunch of craziness. We first went to kind of Gilbert, Mesa, Arizona for around a month, and then we eventually went to our permanent location. Well, the place where we were supposed to go to which was the Bay Area, California, so like East Bay. Loved it there. Actually, out in the suburbs, it's not as liberal as people actually think. Obviously, there are a lot of liberal people, don't get me wrong, but definitely more conservative people the further away you move from the city. But granted, that's probably most places. Really good experience. Obviously, got yelled a lot for COVID reasons, people saying you shouldn't be there, and yada, yada, yada. I mean, I dealt with that on my mission. So, that summer, I keep on forgetting. I need to write down these numbers so I actually remember them. It's very easy to remember that first summer because it was just like, because they do these payments in kind of 2 installments, so they call it your back end. So you get like a $150 to $100, depending on kind of your pay plan, up front for each sale/service. And then at the end of the year, you kind of your total commission, or the rest of your commission that you're supposed to get from that sale. That way it kind of gives you enough to live off of until the last couple installments, which is called your back end, which you typically receive one. I know now it's changed the timing of things, and they actually pay you on a more regular schedule. But at the time I did it, you get one large payment. So your front end, what you got up front, and then you get that during the summer, and then in October you get your first back end payment, which would be kind of whatever's left out of the pool of your commissions, which was probably, I think, like around 60% of what was left. Or I might be wrong. I can't remember the exact numbers. And then the remainder would be at Christmas. So Christmas morning, you'd wake up and like, "Ooh, I got a big check for like 7 grand. Feels nice." So that's how it worked. Second summer, went to the Bay Area, like I mentioned, and I believe I made around $30,000. And bear in mind, this is like for 3 to 4 months of work. And then the second summer, so you actually can make more money. You're not just, I obviously got a higher commission. I did more sales. So instead of selling like 112, I actually did like 140 or something that next year. And bear in mind, this is like very average. Like honestly below average. I wasn't that great at it. 'Cause obviously, I'm not doing it right now, so I wasn't that great at it. But I also I recruited a couple of my friends to come out with me, and how it works. It's basically a pyramid scheme, which people think pyramid scheme and think of like automatically bad, like not good. Like honestly, most businesses are pyramid schemes. Think of like network marketing or anything like that. You get one person to come with you, and they get one person, and you kind of build out your team or whatever, and you get a certain percentage of their sales as well. So it's an incentive to basically more you sell as a team, the more your reps sell, the more you sell, the more everyone makes money, and in kind of the grand scheme of things, the more the whole entire company makes money as well. So it just incentivizes everyone, which isn't a bad thing. So that second summer, I recruited a couple friends, and then yeah, I made around like $30,000. Obviously, these are rough numbers. And then that third summer, so I did, like I said, 3 summers. We went to Memphis, Tennessee. Heck of a place, very interesting. Would I ever go back? Probably not. But Tennessee is actually a pretty cool place. I'd go back to Nashville. Memphis, crazy ghetto, pretty interesting. But there are actually really a lot of nice places. It's a crazy story. Literally, like a month or two after we got home from the summer, like the Tom Thumb we would typically go to every other day, that was in the city we were living in, got shot up, and there was like 4 or 5 people that died. And that was just like insane. We talked about it in our little group chat and stuff from the summer. It was just insane. So Memphis, super dangerous. You probably want to recommend going there or living there. Try somewhere like Nashville, Knoxville, somewhere away from Memphis. Not the safest place. But kind of same thing. Focus more a little bit more on recruiting, because honestly, I liked recruiting a lot more than like actual selling, because recruiting involved relationships, getting to know people at a deeper level, and then just like more, I think more persuasion than anything. 'Cause it's like more persuasive of like having someone move out here and like getting to know them and kind of what they want in life and aligning goals, rather than knocking on some random dude's door. Hey, you're gonna see my trucks. Getting a lot of people done for pest control and doing it for like super cheap. Like you can be here. Literally, just like I don't say there's like a ton of persuasion when it comes to that. It's more just like sense of urgency. Do they actually need it? Were they thinking about it? Cool, easy sell. If not, usually the people you have to try to convince, they'll end up canceling anyway, and you might not even get paid on them. So that third summer, recruited several more people. I was trying to get into like the recruiting part of it. I never recruited enough people. I think the peak was actually recruited and signed a lot of people for the summer, but obviously a lot of people bail last second. That's just how things go. Mission life, sales life, just life in general, dating, get used to rejection. Check out my live on that. But at that summer, I had like at one point like 8 reps signed, but then half of them dropped off, so I ended up having like 4 come out, which is still pretty good, better than I'd say the average person. So that summer, I made nearly like $40,000. Now you're thinking of like, all right, this over this 3 years, you made like 18,000 your first year, you made 30,000 your second year, 40,000. Like that's your third year. Like you should have like an $80,000 net worth. Like, all right, pay in mind scholarships and stuff. I had some parental help that they wanted to help the tuition, so I was like, all right, like if you want to help me, cool. I can pay for it myself, but if you want to help me, not complaining. But I paid for all my own living expenses, so that includes rent, gas, car fixes, repairs. If I wanted to go on a trip somewhere, I paid for all that. And I'd say roughly, so the first couple years, I kept my costs relatively low. So like I said, same car. Over the next couple years, I got slightly better places to live. So instead of living in like a shared bedroom, I moved to a private bedroom, which is like night and day. Like once you go live in a room by yourself and you don't have to share a room with someone else, like you never want to go back. Trust me. I didn't really go on any like fancy trips. I'd go on a trip here and there. A lot of times it was for work. It was for sales and recruiting and stuff. So I kept my costs relatively low. Like I was still living somewhat like a slightly elevated poor college kid. I wasn't like eating like ramen and stuff like that. I was actually buying high protein stuff and trying to get jacked, you know? So that's where I didn't really skimp out, was on just quality of food and stuff. So I was probably spending like anywhere from 15 to like $20,000 a year, which honestly that's still on like the low end if you think of just like the average person. So if you think of like 15 to $20,000 a year over like 3 years, that's like let's just say 60 grand in living expenses over 3 years. I made, you add 18 plus what, plus 30, that's 48, and then plus 40 on top of that's like 84. So 60 grand out of that, obviously I probably lived a little bit lower. It's like you have like 14 grand left over or something like that. Obviously I actually did live a lot lower because I wouldn't have a $40,000 net worth. But not only did I keep my costs and expenses relatively low, I actually continued to work, just because after that third summer, I kind of knew that was going to be my last summer because I was just kind of getting burnt out. And like I said, I can kind of cover that in my debunking summer sales live. I'm not going to get into that, but it was time for change. It was time for me. I was becoming a junior. I joined the finance program, so junior year is very important because that's when you can kind of get your internship for your junior summer to eventually lead to a full-time opportunity, which it did for me. So I put in the work and got that done. So it was definitely a change of seasons for me, from like a professional career standpoint. But I kept working, so I actually was basically almost working full time. That's when I started my job with a nonprofit. Really enjoyed my work. Wasn't making crazy money. I started off at like $13 an hour, moved my way up to like $6 an hour, but I was working anywhere from 20 to 40 hours a week. And then once school ended, I actually worked full time until I started this job here in Austin. So kept costs low, still making money. And the big thing was I was putting money into investments. So after that first summer, I would believe that was the summer of 2019. So this was like right before 2020. So right before 2020 and COVID-19 happened in March of 2020. Actually, at the beginning of that year, I put a ton of money into some investments, into some stocks. Now, obviously, looking back on stuff, I wish I would put it like when COVID happened, because then that was like the lows of the low. But everyone knows it was a V type recovery, V shaped recovery in the economy. So it bumped right back up in the all time highs back in, I believe, 2021. So I invested like a ton in my Roth IRA and stocks. And then also, I believe it was, yeah, the summer of 2021, I started putting some money into crypto. I was hearing about crypto and stuff, and I'm like, all right, like, I've already put a ton of money into stocks. Like, let's try out this crypto thing. So I opened a Coinbase account, and it was like the scariest thing ever because I was like, oh shoot, like, what if I just like send it to the wrong address and I'm just like lose money or whatever? And just like, I was just scaredest guy ever. And now I sent like hundreds of dollars over addresses and stuff like that. But I invested a little bit in crypto. Funny story. So it was actually during my last summer in Memphis that one of the guys that lived in my same apartment, he knocked on this guy's door. He was a big financial type of dude, and he was talking to this guy about crypto. And he's like, "Hey, if you're thinking about a list of crypto to possibly buy, put this down, Solana." So this is back in 2021. No one really knew what Solana was. He was like, "It's only $30 per coin, per token of Solana. I think it's gonna hit big," and it did. I should have freaking put money in Solana then. It literally went from, because then the bull market happened, right? And like end of 2021. So luckily I put money into Bitcoin and Ethereum, and it literally went up to all-time highs within 6 to 9 months. And then I should have bought Solana because literally he said it was like $30. I should have bought a couple of them at least, and literally went up to like $250, $300 per token. So that was kind of my moment. Of course, it then crashed and then went back. It's starting to go back up. It's another bull market kind of incoming. But I thought that was a really funny story. I should have bought Solana when that guy said to buy Solana. $30 to literally $300. 100x return. Can't beat that. But those are kind of the things I did. So sorry I was a little bit all over the place, but to kind of recap, I started off humble beginnings, was literally making $8, $9 an hour. I kind of had to find out, it's like, obviously, this isn't going to work. That I'm not going to be able to pay for school, let alone living expenses just by keeping this job. I would probably have to take out a loan and some sort of personal debt to cover stuff. So I started leveraging my opportunities. An opportunity fell upon me where I was like, all right, this isn't the funnest job. This is the most glamorous job. It's actually one of the hardest jobs ever in the world to do. But I can make pretty good money doing it. And it's in between schools because it's like, what am I going to do in the summer times anyway? I'm probably just going to be working. And not only did I do that, but I did it multiple summers. So typically people will do it one summer and they're like, oh, I made like $20,000. Like, I'll make it last the next couple of years. Like, the job kind of sucked and stuff, but I don't really want to do it again. I was just like, honestly, the job's kind of sucked. It wasn't the best of times, but I had fun with some friends, and honestly, for me, I had a really good team, so I think that really helped me come back. And they kind of threw some money in my face and like, hey, this is how much you're gonna make. If you literally did the same amount of sales you did last year, you'll make like double or whatever in terms of money on commissions. And then if you recruit a couple friends, you that's even like 25% more you'd be able to make. And these are the numbers we're looking at. And I was like I said, I can't. You got offered good money as long as I'm not doing anything unethical or immoral. Like, especially when you're young, focus on working hard, making good money, but also keep in mind, kind of like 8 to 10 years in the future as well. For example, one decision, and summer sales is definitely way different. I kind of knew it wasn't going to be my career, and it was just literally a summer to summer type of thing. So that's why I kind of made it a lot easier of a choice because it's not like I have to sign a contract. I'm going to sell for the next 5 years. No, that wasn't the case. So it was kind of like I was a free agent every single year, and I just re-signed because it made the most sense. Whereas like a job and a career type of situation, that's why I turned down investment banking, to be honest, just because I know like kind of in the long run, the next like 8 to 10 years, like I don't want to be in banking. Like, no. So it's like, why would I want to go into banking if the next 8 to 10 years, even private equity? Like I thought about it, I thought I wanted to do it, but kind of taking a good reflection and kind of like reflecting on myself and kind of what my long term goals are, even further than say like 8 to 10 years, it was nowhere in that space. So kind of made sense. Like, all right, like let me do something a lot less strenuous that still makes good money. I'm probably making half of what I would do make banking, but I'm also keeping my living expenses down. I'm not living in New York or New Jersey or whatever, and I'm also like working half the time as well. Like that's another topic for another video as well. I'm convinced that like bankers, they work like triple or quadruple the amount of like what I work. So honestly, I would make, if you were to do it a per hour basis, obviously everyone's paid in salary and they get a big bonus at the end. But to be honest, the past couple of years, bonuses have kind of been light. Even a lot of people laid off, but I make more per hour of what I do than they do, bankers. That's just the facts. Do the math. But that, like I said, was more of like a long-term decision because it's like if you go into banking, it's just like it doesn't pay off if you only do it for like a year or two and you're like, I don't want to do like anything in the investment industry, then you're kind of like you kind of screwed yourself for those couple of years because it doesn't really equate to much. So that was the decision I had to make. But focus on the work, kind of making money, the most amount of money you can early on, but then also think about kind of what you want to do long term in the meantime as well. There's nothing wrong with going to year with a job, especially if you're still in college. Then you can, it gives you opportunity, gives you leverage, just because then you don't have to. And that was the nice thing about what I did too, just because I had that cushion, I ended up graduating. So I graduated in April, so I ran my net worth and I keep track of all that stuff, and that's what I put in the thumbnail, and that's my allocation diversification of my portfolio. Obviously, it's a little bit different now, a little bit more crypto, a little bit less cash. I also bought a car as well, so I had to add that. But it gave me that cushion, so it's not just like I have to slave away, work. I don't have to work insane hours in order to make a paycheck, in order to kind of put things in place I want to in life for my next 5 moves that I'm trying to do in my life. I can have a little bit of that freedom, a little bit of that flexibility as well. So that's just kind of my experience. Key things I would focus on if you're kind of like if you're 18 or just graduated high school, or if you're kind of in between college or just started college, or maybe your first couple of years of college, or even if you're kind of in your last couple of years of college. Like I said, during the summers, if you're not having to do an internship that immediately relates or leads to a full-time job after you graduate, then pick up some sort of sales job. Sales experience, this is kind of my blueprint for everything, or if you want to kind of follow my path, I think is really beneficial. Pick up some sort of sales job. That way you get interpersonal communication skills, you know how to sell something, and you make pretty good money doing it. Do that for your first couple years, first couple summers of college, and then focus a little bit more on the financial side, or even like marketing side, social media and stuff like that. I kind of wish I'd focused a little bit more on that a little bit earlier on, but then you can use multiples of the skills, just like Hormozi said, you stack skills. So first you learn a sales skill, then you learn kind of the next step into implementing systems for sales, which is basically marketing. And you can include social media with that, creating funnels, creating attention, getting eyeballs. And then finally, I think it's really important to have the financial skill set and that financial background, just because this is how you like manage money type of a thing. You can make $1 million a year, but if you're not good at managing your money, you don't know the right places to invest money or to see opportunities that can make you even more money, then it's like you'll still live in paycheck to paycheck. You still have to make $1 million the next year if you're spending $900,000 or $950,000. You're only left with $50K, and that's not much you can necessarily do with to set you up long term for the amount of money that you're currently making. So I would say in those steps: first sales, then kind of marketing, social media. If I had to go back, I would focus on implementing systems with that, especially focus on social media, and then learn those concrete financial skills. Know where you can put your money, because at the end of the day, you want to make money work for you. That way you can stop working for money yourself. Make money in your sleep. All right, I'll leave it at that. I got a couple basketball games to watch. Hopefully I'm a winner chicken dinner tonight. And I'll catch y'all later. You know what it is. As with everything, trying to help you guys get stronger, smarter, healthier, wealthier. So go ahead, follow for more lives, follow for more tips. Always stay pumped. Check out for that background in the next couple weeks. All right, catch y'all later. Time for the outro.